You ever notice someone who says sorry before they even finish a sentence? Like they walk into a room and immediately apologize for existing. Sorry, can I just. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry for bothering you, but they're not even doing anything wrong. They're just there. And somehow that feels like a crime to them. Maybe it's you. Maybe you've caught yourself shrinking in your chair during a meeting, making yourself smaller, quieter, less visible. Or maybe it's that coworker who types sorry to bother you at the start of every single email, even when they're just doing their job. Here's the thing. There's actually a hidden psychology behind why some people feel like they need permission just to breathe the same air as everyone else. And once you understand it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Let's start with the one who apologizes for their very presence. Picture this. Someone walks into a coffee shop, accidentally makes eye contact with a stranger, and immediately says sorry like they've committed a felony. They take up a table and feel guilty about it, even though that's literally what tables are for. They order their drink and apologize to the barista for ordering. This person moves through the world like they're trespassing on everyone else's planet. The psychology here? It's usually rooted in childhood. Maybe they grew up in an environment where their needs were seen as inconvenient, where asking for attention meant being a burden, where love felt conditional, like they had to earn the right to exist in someone's space. So now, as adults, they've internalized this belief that they're inherently too much. Their brain has learned a simple equation: less space equals less conflict, invisibility equals safety, and apologizing, that's just the tax they pay for daring to exist. Then there's the one who turns every request into a negotiation with themselves. They need to ask their boss a question, but first they have to justify why. The question is worth asking. They rehearse it 17 times in their head. Is this stupid? Will they think I'm incompetent? Maybe I should just figure it out myself. By the time they finally speak up, they've already apologized 3 times before the words even leave their mouth. Sorry, I know you're busy, and this is probably a dumb question, but this type isn't just being polite. They're running a constant cost-benefit analysis on their own worthiness. Every interaction feels like an imposition because deep down, they don't believe their needs matter as much as everyone else's. It's perfectionism meets low self-worth, wrapped in a blanket of overthinking. They're so terrified of being seen as needy or difficult that they'd rather suffer in silence than risk bothering someone. The irony? Their constant apologizing often makes interactions more awkward, not less. But here's where it gets interesting. There's another type who apologizes for taking up space, but not because they feel small. It's because they feel too big, too loud, too much. Picture someone who's naturally enthusiastic, opinionated, passionate about things, but somewhere along the way they got the message that their energy was overwhelming, that their excitement was annoying, that their presence was exhausting to others. So now they dim themselves. They apologize for laughing too loud, for talking too much, for caring too deeply about things. Sorry, I'm rambling again. Sorry, I got carried away. They've learned to compress their personality into a more digestible version, like they're constantly turning down their own volume. The psychology here is heartbreaking because it's often inflicted by people who couldn't handle someone else's light. And instead of those people adjusting, this person learned to shrink. Then there's the one who apologizes because they've been taught that accommodation is love. They say sorry when someone bumps into them. They apologize when someone else makes a mistake. They're constantly making themselves smaller so others can be more comfortable, and they genuinely believe this is what good people do. It's not weakness, it's conditioning. This often comes from cultures or families where harmony is valued above all else, where being accommodating, selfless, and non-confrontational is praised as virtue. The problem? It creates people who don't know how to advocate for themselves without feeling selfish, who can't set a boundary without drowning it in apologies, who've been so trained to prioritize everyone else's comfort that they've forgotten they're allowed to have their own. And finally, there's the one who apologizes because they're terrified of conflict. Not just avoiding it, terrified of it. To them, taking up space feels like declaring war. Asking for what they need feels aggressive. Having an opinion feels confrontational. So they apologize preemptively like they're defusing a bomb that doesn't exist. This person has often witnessed or experienced explosive conflict in their past. Maybe they grew up walking on eggshells, never knowing what would set someone off. So now, their nervous system is wired to see danger in ordinary interactions. Apologizing becomes a shield, a way to signal, I'm not a threat, please don't hurt me. It's a survival strategy that's outlived its usefulness, but the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. So here's the question. Which one resonates with you? Are you the one who feels like a burden? The overthinker who rehearses every word? The bright light who's learned to dim? The peacekeeper who's lost themselves in the process? Or the conflict avoider who apologizes for breathing? The truth is, you're allowed to take up space. Your needs aren't an inconvenience. Your voice isn't too loud. Your presence isn't too much. And you don't need to apologize for existing in a world that's just as much yours as anyone else's.